The world's largest company just backflipped on Bitcoin with a $3.7 trillion market cap. This company is now poised to potentially become the next MicroStrategy. Now, Apple, of course, is the company that I'm talking about here, and they have been leaving Easter eggs about Bitcoin for quite some time. So we're going to dive into all of this and what all this potentially means for Bitcoin here going ahead. But first, let's dive in to Apple adding the Bitcoin symbol to their library. I know you might be saying, okay, this seems a little minuscule, right? Because Apple just adding the Bitcoin sign, the Bitcoin B, is not necessarily the biggest deal in the world if that was just by itself. But we have Tim Cook also openly admitting that he owns Bitcoin and that Bitcoin is a good investment. Well, he also prefaced that with saying Apple has no plans to enter the crypto market anytime soon. But with all of these signs pointing towards potentially Apple preparing for a Bitcoin adoption, because not only does Tim Cook own Bitcoin, they've had a few different things in recent months here. They've had the Bitcoin B symbol being allowed to come in on the Mac OS Sierra. And then look at the date of this post. This was 8 years ago, folks. So Bitcoin has been, Bitcoin or Apple, excuse me, has been utilizing the potential of Bitcoin and really highlighting and honing this in here for quite some time. Look, it all even dates back to 8 years ago. And even this here, last year in April of 2023, Apple had a hidden Bitcoin Easter egg. Now, what was that? They put the copy of the Satoshi white paper in their Mac OS. So you can go into there, you can go into the open systems library. It's on literally every single computer, Mac laptop, and you can have that there immediately. So not only is Apple potentially embracing Bitcoin, Tim Cook could be potentially the next Michael Saylor with Bitcoin here going in. He is one of the richest mans in the world. He's the CEO of the largest company in the world. And Apple is, now embracing Bitcoin. So if you look at Tim Cook, and let's look up his net worth here. So he's a $2.3 billion man. That's right. Billion with a B, right? So Tim Cook is also openly admitting that he owns Bitcoin and has a position there, but he is prefacing, okay, that there is no plan for the crypto, for Apple to enter the crypto market anytime soon, right? But Apple has had to pay very close attention to Bitcoin and the growing crypto ecosystem. Why? Because of their growing market, or because of their market dominance when it comes to smartphone technologies. They have to have all of these apps. They have to regulate them. They have to make sure that all of these crypto apps are available. All of these crypto apps are not being used for nefarious activities. All of these crypto apps are, allowing people to buy and sell Bitcoin, doing it within the law, within the regulations of everything like that. So Apple has been very aware of Bitcoin and everything along the crypto market for quite some time. Of course, here, I always say Bitcoin and Bitcoin only, but the mainstream media still is not to that point just yet, right? Because they say that they own or Tim Cook owns Bitcoin specifically, but Apple has no plans to enter the crypto market, right? So there is he has said it is a personal endeavor, right? His own Bitcoin was a quote reasonable as part of a diversified portfolio, suggesting that it as a personal finance decision rather than a corporate strategy. Bitcoin, which recently surged to 82K when this article was written. So what are we sitting at here today? We're sitting at 98K, folks. So Tim Cook sitting pretty with his investment so far there. And we've seen a lot of developments when it comes to the Bitcoin space and everything along those lines. So I mentioned this a little bit previously. Let's look at the market dominance of Apple and Apple iPhones, right? I mean, if you're out here, you think that or in the US, Apple is one of the more dominant phone companies in the entire world, right, folks? In the United States, I feel like everybody kind of has the blue text and everything like that. That is kind of the narrative here. But if you look at it globally, Samsung is actually the leader here recently, where they've kind of dominated Apple, owning over 2% of the global market share of Apple iPhones. So over smartphones, excuse me. So if Apple were to start to embrace Bitcoin, where you could implement Apple Pay, you could implement Google Pay, I think that's the next step to get to global adoption. I think that's the next step for us to move for a potential medium of exchange here, where I think that there is a potential here for that, right? But I think it is very interesting that Apple's been keeping a very close eye when it comes to Bitcoin and everything along those lines. You would be shocked to even hear that there's a website out there where you could buy and sell Apple products for Bitcoin. So Apple is already encouraging the use of Bitcoin as a medium of exchange. If you go to applebitcoins.com, you can see that you could buy all their products, how to buy, delivery, return. You can utilize Bitcoin. You can utilize USDT. You can utilize a bunch of different cryptos in order to purchase Apple products. Hell, you can even go and purchase an iPad, an iPhone, a MacBook, whatever you would like from Apple utilizing Bitcoin. So they're keeping a close eye on it, folks. So you should definitely be doing the same, right? So, I definitely think that if you're looking at Apple, right, from the beginning, if you look at the total market cap of Apple and the total market cap of its competitors, well, we've already had Microsoft vote for not putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet. We have Amazon potentially going to a vote. I believe that vote is happening in April for whether or not they're going to put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. We have NVIDIA, who's openly talked about Bitcoin and the use of Bitcoin for their balance sheet, embracing AI and all these technologies, really ramping up there. So now, out of all of these companies, these top 4 companies here have talked about Bitcoin in some way, shape, or form. So, these 4 largest market caps, that is $3.7 trillion potentially going to Bitcoin. Now, let's take a step back and really kind of dive into this, right, folks? Because if Apple were to embrace a MicroStrategy strategy, it is not necessarily because they would be, going all in, right? The $3.7 trillion market cap would not be fully going all into Bitcoin, right? They would be utilizing some of their cash reserves. But let's look at how much of these cash reserves they have here, right? So as of their last quarterly statement here, or annual statement, excuse me, they have over $65 million worth of cash equivalents sitting there, and their cash balance has been growing. It got depleted a little bit in 2022, but it's been steadily increasing by a few $1 million here and there. And so it would make a lot of sense for, oh, excuse me, I'm not even sharing it with you guys. Look at that dumb gringo over here. But yeah, here you go. So if you look at the overall current assets right here, right, you have their cash equivalents. So they have $65 million of cash just sitting there. Now, why would you have that? Why would you have Apple holding Bitcoin and simply just are holding cash when you know that is going to be a depreciating asset? The Fed is telling you every single day, hey, we're going to inflate this currency away by 2%. That's our target every single year, right? So if you're planning on having that cash and having it for the long term, why would you do that, right? It doesn't make any sense. And with the success that everybody has been seeing with MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor turning a lot of heads, I think that, everybody is starting to pay attention to MicroStrategy and what is going on there, right? I mean, we've seen MicroStrategy stock absolutely explode in the past, year, MicroStrategy is up 431%, folks. We had Amazon shareholders beg and plead their board, the Amazon board, in order to look and consider putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet. And they're going to go through and look at that and take a closer vote towards that in April this year. So I think that this is going to be a continuing trend. We're seeing more and more companies and corporations, people all over the globe really considering having a Bitcoin strategy. I think at this point in time, if you're a person, you need to have a Bitcoin strategy. If you're a company and you have some sort of cash balance, why not put it towards Bitcoin? And I think that's going to be a growing trend we're seeing here in 2025. And lastly, if you're a nation state, you really need to have some sort of Bitcoin strategy here going forward. So I'll take a look here a little bit at the chat and see what's everything going on. We've got good friend of the program, Johnny here. Sunday greetings. What's going on, boss? And we've got Johnny over here. Not sure if Apple has the brain power to see something that so obvious Microsoft didn't. Hey, I agree with you. I think that, the Microsoft shareholders are looking at something a little bit more conservative, whereas Apple has been, more performing, more forward thinking, right? So, so great. We've got Johnny, UK Bitcoin Master. What's going on? We've got Dwight K. Hoddle. I am talking about Apple, folks. I am talking about how Tim Cook and Apple is actively, here looking at Bitcoin and continuing to consider it as a strategy going forward, because Apple's global dominance of the smartphone industry is simply up there, right? I mean, like I said previously, there's 17% of global smartphones, according to Q3 data of last year, are Apple iPhones, right? So if Apple starts to embrace this technology, they're really going to be here positioned for the way forward. And I mean, at this point in time, how can you deny this chart right here, right? It's simply the Bitcoin chart over the past 5 years. We've got it up over 100 or over 1,240 or 1,200%. All-time Bitcoin up over 900,000%. And in the past year, Bitcoin up a skyrocketing over 100%, right? So remember, folks, I mean, I think all these businesses are going to start to consider, putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Yeah, we've got UK. Where are the subs, man? I appreciate that, man. Thank you, you and Johnny. I see you guys communicating back here. And seeing everything's going. I got Officer Mantis. I am in a den here in Colombia, in Medellin here, recording to this live. And I got Chico from the chat. Chico in the van. If Apple uses this strategy, does it lock its top position? In my opinion, yes. Because, I mean, if you've seen the success of MicroStrategy, and I'll pull up the MicroStrategy flywheel here, folks, because I think that is, it's one of my favorite things to show when I talk about businesses start to implement this strategy here. And the reason being is because it's absolutely genius, right? So if you look at how MicroStrategy implements this, let me pull that up and share this tab for you. If MicroStrategy or if Apple implements this strategy, it can issue more debt to buy more Bitcoin. And at this point, Apple's got such a sustainable model. Who wouldn't want to buy more Apple stock or debt from Apple? Bitcoin price will increase. MicroStrategy's market cap will increase. Thus, Apple's market cap would increase as well, right? MicroStrategy's market cap increases the weight in its indices. So Apple is already in the S&P 500, already in the NASDAQ 100. MicroStrategy then issues more equity to buy Bitcoin. Apple could easily do the same thing. The biggest difference between Apple and MicroStrategy, though, folks, is that Apple makes money every year. Apple doesn't run at a deficit. Currently, MicroStrategy runs at a deficit. So without their Bitcoin holdings, MicroStrategy would have went under. But currently, That is not the case for Apple. Apple makes a lot of money. Apple is one of the more profitable companies in the globe. And I think that that's going to continue pace here, folks. So I think that, with everything that we've lined out here, we've had Apple embracing the Bitcoin logo whenever they can put it onto anything, theoretically. They've been doing that with their OS. You can buy, sell iPhones, MacBooks, whatever you'd like with Bitcoin currently. Tim Cook owns Bitcoin. I think it's just a matter of time before all of these other companies start to look and see really what's going on here, folks. So, but one of the greatest, I guess, powers of Bitcoin here is that, you can hold Bitcoin wherever you'd like, and you can continue to do, you can continue to buy and sell wherever you'd like. And so one of the best options, I believe, is Unbanked. I've recently partnered with Unbanked. If you go to unbanked.com/green candle, you have the chance to enter into a raffle. By the end of this month, whoever is downloaded the app based on this app location, unbanked.com/green candle, and that should be in the description, you have the chance to win $210 that will be sent to you immediately. You can go to Unbanked. You could buy, you can sell Bitcoin for 0 fees. There's no KYC. You could get cash wherever you'd like. You could do that all into your Venmo account, PayPal account, however you'd like. They've got 28,000 locations all over the United States. So be sure to check that out, folks. So go to unbanked.com/green candle, download that app, make your first sell, and you will be entered in to win that raffle. But remember here, folks, Tim Cook, bullish on Bitcoin. Apple, exploring Bitcoin possibilities. Microsoft, even though they rejected it, there's going to be another vote here soon. I am very sure of it. Amazon is going to be looking at Bitcoin here later this year. So with all of that, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, tell a friend to tell a friend. I appreciate you guys joining in with me here, all 397 of you. So thank you guys for coming out, and I will see you guys all tomorrow.